The Lord replied, "Hypocrites, don't each of you on the Sabbath untie your own ox or donkey from its stall and lead it out to get a drink? And isn't it necessary that this woman, a daughter of Abraham, bound by Satan for 18 long years, be set free from her bondage on the Sabbath day?" When he said these things, all his opponents were put to shame, but those in the crowd rejoiced at all the extraordinary things he was doing.
Good morning. Those who have been around me before know that I don't stray very far from the 3-year common lectionary. It's set up in 2 parts. Approximately half of the year is given to the life of Jesus, beginning at Advent, ends approximately in June with Pentecost. The second half of the year is given over to the life of the church, where we take those lessons of Jesus and bring them into our lives together. We bring them into the world that we live in today. For many years, Luke was my favorite gospel. I understood it, or so I thought. The imperatives were clear. I had my marching orders. This Luke's text seems to hold a number of understandings on how we should live in a world of need, how to be around other people. Luke seems to be preoccupied with widows, homeless, the sick, the imprisoned. He routinely states those imperatives in the gospel we assign to him. And the imperatives are: take care of them, as he was certainly shaped by the messages of Jesus. Luke has several stories which take place on the Sabbath. This is one of them. There's another in Luke 6 where the disciples are traveling on a Sabbath. They're hungry, they're in a field, and they crush wheat in their hands and eat it. That constituted work at that time. All of these stories are exclusive to Luke. There's another story in Luke 14 where Jesus is in a religious leader's home for dinner, and he heals a man before the dinner who has the Bible translations use the word dropsy, but in cursory research, it's a thing called edema, where your body parks fluids as you age or you have internal failures. But it's obvious at looking at someone. Jesus was able to see that. There's another story similar, also on the Sabbath, where Jesus heals a man with a shriveled hand. There's other stories, but we'll stay with Luke. This Luke 13 story is particular. It's interesting in a number of ways. First, Jesus heals a woman, and he identifies her as a daughter of Abraham. This is the only place where a person is addressed in that fashion. Luke, again, is preoccupied with some of these things. Nowhere is the term used, but it clearly says she was not an outsider. This was not a Samaritan. It wasn't someone from outside. This was inside the Jewish community. And the leaders should have been celebratory with her healing. But instead, they find some short-sighted way of finding fault with his actions. Additionally, this story is distinct because she did not come to him. Jesus calls her out of the crowd, identifies her clearly, and that this woman has been bent over for 18 years. I've often wondered, how did he know that? She makes no request of him. That's also distinct. She makes no statement of faith. And Jesus, in healing her, makes no demands of her. He doesn't tell her to go and sit in a pool. He doesn't tell her to go to the Jewish leaders and show herself. Luke also suggests that Jesus was calling out a demon. That's not a term that we think about in our times today. But in all of these stories, Jesus is acting out of compassion and empathy. For our purposes today, Jesus saw the need and he acted upon it. The day of the Sabbath was inconsequential. He was not impaired by what day it was. Okay, so much for the Bible study. Let's go on to what is relevant today. Mary Beth certainly set the stage for me in the taking of the time here and how you presented the opening. With various homeless shelters here in Boise, it's evident that homeless people don't get a day off from their reality. Hungry people are no less hungry on the Sabbath than on any other day. A widow is no less to herself than any other day. An imprisoned is no less imprisoned on any other day. We can go on and touch down all of Luke's imperatives. But what is the Sabbath really about? We have this commandment, but there's this humorous piece in me that can't let go of this. In Genesis 1, we're told God created it. God spoke it, it was done, and it was good. Day 2, God spoke it, it was done, it was good. Day 3, spoke it, it was good. And you certainly get it. So by day 7, we have to wonder, why does God need a day off? How tough is all of this? He speaks it and it happens. In your paper, in the reflection section, from Genesis chapter 2, God blessed the seventh day and made it a holy day because on that day he rested from his work. But I'm still back to this, how tough is it? So what's the Sabbath really about? Maybe, just maybe, the Sabbath was invented for us. A time for us to reflect on this God of our creation. Although there was only 10 commandments, the Levitical laws of the day that Jesus lived had created something north of 600 little rules that would prevent one from breaking one of the Ten Commandments. These were the hedge laws that kept you from stepping off into the abyss of breaking one of the Big Ten. This is what Sabbath had become. You can't untie your farm animal and lead it to water. It constitutes work. What do you do if your cow is giving birth? There's rules about what assistance you can offer. And what, in the estimate of anything or anyone, becomes work? Jesus told a person whom he had healed on the Sabbath, he told him to pick up his mat and go. The man was challenged because picking up a mat constituted work. We're really good at thinking up stuff and making rules for ourselves, perhaps less for ourselves, but we're good at making rules. Having to do it today, I'm not suggesting that we open Corpus on Sundays. But the need is still there. And this is the piece that we need to be mindful of as we see Jesus mindful in all of these stories. So, how do we pay attention to this Sabbath? How did we get so far afield with all these rules on keeping which ones? Perhaps as Jesus is mindful and watchful to his surroundings, so we should be aware of the needs around us. We have situations that come to us, but we hesitate. We wait. No, wait. Your pig is stuck in the ditch. Wait till tomorrow. I can help you. You need help mending your fence. I can help you tomorrow. But the critters are already escaped. Maybe it's this simple. We need to be watchful. If you take the Anabaptist World publication this month, there was a gathering in the East, and a lady named Shannon Dykes, interim president of Eastern Mennonite, spoke. And in this story, everything about being Mennonite means that when there's something wrong, we do something. We get up, we cook, we quilt, we pray, and we start a committee. It's who we are. It's how we react. But the question is, what's distinct about the Sabbath, and what do we do with it? I'm suggesting that we should be mindful as we see Jesus. Today, in the closing song that Roger will present, draw the circle wide on who we can assist, who can we be a part of, who can we follow the Luke imperatives. So what do you do on a Sunday that makes it special? What do you do as individuals or as a family that set this day apart? You're all here, so that's a start. But what do you do? Dan has a microphone if you choose to speak. If there's something distinct that you as a family or individuals are sure to do on a Sabbath.
We start with a special breakfast.
Thank you. That's worth celebrating. It's significant. It makes the day special.
I take a Sabbath from reading the news.
That's another thing that would make the day special and distinct.
We talk to family that don't live here.
That's very cool.
Oh, when I was a kid, we went to the 49er games in San Francisco. Or we watched them on a little teeny TV.
I get off social media.
I have this unpaid volunteer job that 6 days a week I have to check my email 3 times a day, and I refuse to do it on Sunday.
I have a Zoom call with my dad and all of my siblings every Sunday night.
Very cool. All these things can contribute to making this day special. So what about this afternoon? What are you going to do this afternoon that makes this special? Is there a golf tournament on the TV? Is there It is the summer. Yes, it is the summer. There's a baseball game, and some of you know I'm from Chicago, so, if the Cubs are playing, they need all the help they can get. It's not if they're going to lose, it's going to be how they lose. Perhaps a nap is in order. Perfect. There are any number of prayer and meditation regimens, centering prayer, where you choose a word to focus on, or Lectio, where you might choose a biblical text or citation to focus with a series of questions that would help frame your thinking. But I encourage you to set boundaries to your time at the Sabbath. But it is yours, and that's the piece that is significant. The Sabbath is yours. It is a different day, and we are to celebrate it. One last thing, Sandy, about sports. The new Pope is a South Sider. And if you're from Chicago, you know the difference between North Side and South Side, and I am a North Sider. But with all of that comes some humor, and I believe that is a gift also of the Sabbath. So, whatever you do to set this day apart, celebrate it. Don't let me hold you back.